Once you hit $1 million in ARR, the playbook to grow to 3 million changes. Once you hit $1 million in ARR, the way you go about growing is about doing less and being more focused. First of all, if you hit $1 million in ARR for your SaaS business, congratulations, you're in rarefied air. Only 4% of SaaS businesses ever get to $1 million in ARR. But as you look at the path ahead to get to 3 million, the way you're gonna go about building out and executing on your go-to-market strategy is going to be different. The way you got to $1 million in ARR was likely through elbow grease, through founder-led growth, through calling in a few favors from your existing network. But the path to 3 million is gonna be different. In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that you absolutely need to know. This is a 3-step strategy process that I follow with my own clients. And when you implement this strategy, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth, especially that 3 million in ARR. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. I've been working with a number of founders that are right at that 1 million to 1.5 million in ARR. And as I enter into my 6th year in coaching, I've given out countless trophies of founders who have worked with me that have achieved 3 million in ARR. Through these years, I've seen major patterns on what shakes up, what slows down growth for founders right at that $1 million mark. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 steps that I always follow to unlock growth for the founders that I work with. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. So step number 1 that I always follow whenever founders come to me, they're at $1 million, growth has stalled. This is what I call a dead zone. Happens around the $1 million to 1.5 million mark. The first thing that we do is we dig into the metrics and diagnostics. It's kind of like how you go to a doctor and one of the first things they do is, hey, let's just run a series of blood tests. That's how I approach it. Every SaaS business is almost like a living, breathing organism to me. And there's certain metrics to look at. And there's certain ways to slice those metrics and really understand where the choke points in the business are. A lot of the times founders are coming to me to say, hey, what's the answer? And my true answer is, well, we don't know yet. First, we need to understand what's going on with the business. And there may be blind spots in the business that you're not even aware of, which is why we dig deeper into this metrics and diagnostics exercise. If you are doing the metrics and diagnostics exercise for your own business, here's 3 things you can start with. First, you'll want to look at your customer base. Chances are, if you got to $1 million, most founders that got to $1 million went through sort of a set of Herculean exercises to get to that $1 million. Your customer base likely looks like it's all over the place, different segments, different ICPs. So you really want to start to understand your customer base and see what parts of it are healthy and what parts of it are not. You'll also want to look at your sales or product-led process. The founders that I have worked with, half of them are product-led, half of them are sales-driven. And so it differs. So you'll really want to understand what the process is to convert someone that's interested in your product to someone that is actually paying for your product and staying. And the third thing we'll want to diagnose is the lead acquisition process. Ultimately, if you don't have proper marketing, if new people are not finding out about you and becoming leads every single day, you will stagnate. So the third thing I always look into is what is the lead acquisition process and exactly what's the process you're following to generate these leads? Are they quality leads? All these things we can start to look at. Once you have the blood test of the SaaS business done, which is the metrics and the diagnostics, that's when you go to step number 2. And step number 2 is to look at the metrics, the diagnostics, and start to draw some conclusions. There's also some additional pieces of data I always look at. This is what I call the execution gaps and problems phase. This is where we look at the people, the product, and the process. I look at all 3 of these things. First, you always start with the people. A lot of times with these $1 million to $1.5 million businesses, sometimes it's all just the founders and a couple of helpers. Other times they've hired a head of marketing or a head of sales. I was on a call with a founder the other day. They hit $1 million, hired a head of marketing, head of sales, and they just had their worst revenue month ever. And so there's clearly some problems there with the process and the people and maybe some other aspects of the business as well. So the biggest thing that I look at is exactly who are the people that are executing, what's going on with them, what's the process that they're following from lead all the way to revenue to retention, and then finally, what's the product. I was on a call with another set of founders. It was the CEO and the CTO, super small business. They bought it. They had acquired the company. Classic where the CEO is like, hey, nothing's working, everything's broken, and we have some commission sellers, they're not closing. And the CTO is like, this is not the problem is the features, we just need to add more features. And this is like classic, like all the wrong things that they're doing in more ways than one. It's both people and process and likely the product. But given my experience in doing this for 6 years, product is usually the last thing that's the problem, because the product is usually the last thing that people consider in the buying process. I look at product is important, but in all my years, it's almost never a feature problem. It's really more of a people and process problem. And sometimes it's even the founders themselves who are the people in the machine and they're not executing in the right way. So it could be any number of these things, and you'll want to take a objective look at where the gaps are, where the problems are across people, process, and product, and figure out what the metrics are telling you in terms of people and process and product, so you can understand what reality is. Now, before I go to step number 3, let me pause here for a second. If you start to see the power in this is one of the biggest principles that I learned. This is my time in Bridgewater. I used to work for Ray Dalio and that organization. One of the biggest things that he taught was you got to pause and reflect before you take action. And if you want different outcomes, if you want to change the trajectory of where you're going, you definitely have to pause and reflect. And this is something that I've carried with me through all these years in every single business and every single client I've had. Before we do anything, we just don't know. We just first need to pause and reflect and look at the data, look at the numbers, look at the patterns. One of the benefits that I have is I can start to understand the patterns a little bit faster because I've been doing this for 6 years and I've seen so many SaaS businesses and I talked to so many founders and we've just had so much success. The patterns start to stick out on what the problems are and how to fix them. So part of this is pausing and reflecting, and part of this is getting the pattern recognition. If you're in this stage where you want my help in fixing your SaaS business and unlocking growth, just go to tkkader.com/GTM and you can learn more details. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to principle number 3 because that one's super important. Also, if you're getting value from this video, please smash that like button. For the YouTube algorithm, it just loves it when you do that, and so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. Step number 3 is once you understand the metrics, the diagnostics, once you understand the execution gaps and the problems, once you have the chessboard, this is what I call the chessboard. Now we know what game we're playing, what the problems are, what the opportunities are, what we need to fix. Before we jump into execution, you really want to lay out a strategy. Strategy is a little bit of a complicated word. It's a little bit of an overused word. When I coach clients, I work with clients. To me, strategy is just making choices. What choices are we going to make? Do we go after a certain customer base? Do we say no to a certain type of customers? Do we make choices on inbound, outbound, allbound? Do we hire that agency? All those are choices. So before you pull the trigger on anything, you want to make some choices. There are good choices and there's bad choices. There's known good choices and known bad choices. So I always like at step 3 to flesh out the go-to-market strategy. This comes into 4 key pieces when I work with founders. The first one is ICP, the ideal customer profile. When I first started in this game, like 6 years ago, people weren't doing ICPs, ideal customer profiles. So we had to teach them on like, you should do an ICP and here's why. Now everyone does an ICP, but the problem today, 6 years later, is not that people aren't doing an ICP, but they're just kind of checking the boxes, but not really doing it as an exercise. A successful ICP exercise is when you're making choices, tough choices, and you're saying no to parts of the market, and you're really having the debate and the discussion on which direction to go. So that's what I call an ICP now when I'm working with founders. The second piece is the manifesto. Manifesto is the messaging, it's the positioning. Chances are to get to 1 million, you position and message your product in 8 different ways. And now your product is an 8-headed monster and you're trying to figure out how do we sell this consistently and scale. To get to the 1 million to the 3 million, it's less about trying to sell 8 different things and trying to sell the same thing over and over so that you're not the only one selling, so you can bring in sellers, average humans, to actually sell that one thing. So there's some choices to be made on who do we sell to, what do we sell, and how do we message that. That's the manifesto. The third thing you'll want to do is a Broadway show. Again, to get to 1 million, you likely did 80 different things. You have no idea which one worked, but now it's about getting more consistent. So the Broadway show is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that I advise on. It's different for every company, different for every ICP. But you want to get consistent. And the last piece is metrics. I'm a big believer in doing weekly metrics. When you do weekly metrics, it gets you into the mindset of understanding what's going on in the business. It gets you in the mindset of testing new things. It gets you in the mindset of tweaking and iterating, and that's how you scale. Scaling comes when you are doing the same thing over and over and it's starting to work really, really well and yields and compounds. That's how scaling really happens. And so this is the 4 pieces that we put into the business in terms of strategy and execution so that we're able to execute on it, iterate on it, and get better and better and better. All right, so let's recap. If you're at 1 million, congratulations, you're in rarefied air. Only 4% of companies get here. Now, what got you to 1 million is likely heroics. What will get you to 3 million, I've done this myself and I've helped founders do this, is to get focused. So the way to do this is, number one, do the metrics and diagnostics on your business. Number two, figure out the execution gaps and the problems that exist across the people, the product, and the process. And number three, feed that into making choices in terms of your strategy. Your go-to-market strategy, that's your ICP, your manifesto, what Broadway show you're going to run, and then go execute on it and look at the metrics and collect the metrics so you can get better and better and better and better and better. Now you know the 3 steps I use over and over for every single SaaS business that I coach, every single SaaS business that I've operated. What you may not know is, TK, how do I implement all these pieces? Well, if you'd like to work with me so you can implement this framework and unlock growth for your SaaS business, just go to tkkader.com/GTM for all the details. Now, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, if you have a founder, a team member, a friend, you're part of a WhatsApp group or Slack group of other founders, please share this video with them. We want to serve as many founders as possible. Also, I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you inside the SaaS GoToMarket coaching program or the next episode, whichever works better for you. Take care, everybody.